Hi, my name's Dave Berrow. I length of Shropshire Union Canal, owned by Stafford Isaac Moulton Angling Club. I'm fishing one off a peg. Early on last year I weighed 10-10, a small roaching, on the Still Star pole qualifier and absolutely paralysed the match. But the aspects of catching a catch like that on a day like today, I don't think I can get anywhere near. But hopefully we're going to get a few fish. The tactics for today are going to be quite simple really. Is cupping in neat worm and neat joker across to the boat where there's about 2.5 foot of water, and hopefully when the fish move on it, that's going to be my main bagging area and should hopefully get a few roach. But also I'll put 2 cupfuls of the same mix, 50-50 worm and joker, down the track in about 5 foot of water, and this is where I hopefully will catch a few better perch. I've already had 2 about 2 ounce a piece there, and hopefully some better fish will move on to it.
Hello, my name's Moulton. I'm a member of the Moulton Whites match squad. We've been formed now for 3 years and we've had a recent run of very good success. Me and my partner Dave have just come back from Sweden, where we finished second in the embassy pairs, winning £4,000 between us. I won the first day with a weight of £62, and for that I won £1,000 on my own, which I'll give Dave half of it. We've come along today to demonstrate bloodworm fishing on the Shropshire Union Canal at Stafford on the Isaac Moulton's water. The main line of approach today will be fishing 2 swims, starting off at 10 o'clock or whenever the whistle goes if we're fishing a match, cupping 1 cup of raw joker in on 5 metres and cupping 1 cup of raw joker and half a cup of raw worm at 9 metres, about a yard off the boat. What I expect to catch will be gudgeon, roach and perch. Roach on the far swim and gudgeon and perch on the near swim. After an hour I would say the bites will be coming very, very quickly, and at the end of the day we'll expect to catch maybe 150 to 200 fish, which with a weight of £3 to £4, with bonus fish maybe £5, which in a match would be a very reasonable weight, and you can go back to the draw smiling.
Right then, I'll give a close-up rundown on all the rigs I'm using. Firstly, the Canal Man's most popular rig. It's a 3 metre whip, the gudgeon rig. Now this I'll try to keep as simple as I can, whereas a lot of people go for an Olivet, I now go for bulk shot. As you can see, it's 3 number 4 Dinsmore's non-toxic shot with 2 legal lead number 8s locking just above my hook length. Now the reason for this, I don't like putting the shot on my hook length, the bulk shot, because generally it weakens the line, and you're using 006 racing torch line, which is very fine, and with those large shot clamped on it, it will weaken it. Hence if you hook into anything large, 6-7 ounce fish, it's going to break. So all I've got on the hook length is 2 number 12 shots, equally spread apart as my drop shot. And also this is very good for when you're fishing, you start getting a few roach in your swim. With the bulk shot you can spread it out up the line and have a slow sink, and this gives you more chance of catching the roach. The float is one I've designed myself with MIDI fishing tackle, and I'll shortly be on the market. It's a wire stem float with a balsa body. It's generally the perfect gudgeon shaped body. I mean, there's a lot of shapes come out, but generally that is a perfect gudgeon shape. And instead of having the usual bristle, I've incorporated a very fine cane tip. And this does give you the possibility of shotting it right down, so just a little dimple showing, which in a wind like this is absolutely essential. The main line is just normal 1/7 Bayer, straight the way through to a fine flick tip, which is just incorporated the normal black stomfo, which is readily available in all tackle shops. The pole itself is probably the best available I think on the market for gudgeon fishing. It's a Browning profile, 3 metre, and it's absolutely a dream to use. Right then, I'm going go into the rig, I'll use incorporating with the 3 metre whip. Sometimes when you're fishing the whip to hand, you miss a few bites, so hence you need the short lining rig to put over the same line to get your pole tip right above your float, and this does make you hit more bites. The float is another one I've designed with MIDI, but it's a lot more sensitive than the cane tip. It's a wire bristle which goes down a 1/4 inch into the body, and a wire bottom. The reason for not having the wire straight the way through, because it makes the float bob around a bit, gives it an uneven balance. But actually this float at the moment works like a dream. I've used it today and it's absolutely perfect for the job. The shotting, literally the same but slightly smaller proportions. It's 6 number 10 bunched, again just above the hook length. And on the hook length it's a slightly longer hook length. It's again 006 racing torch, and I've got 3 number 12s as droppers. The hook for the job is possibly the best one on the market at the moment. It's the NUDD Series 1. A 26, very fine wire, very sharp hook, and it does enable you to catch a lot of fish on this without changing the hook. Pole is Browning World Champ. Lovely canal pole, very light, very forgiving, and I think it's absolutely the bee's knees. The end of the pole, it's fixed with the Dave Preston tip. There's ones you put in there internal, PTFE, absolutely brilliant, no bulky, doesn't show nothing. The elastic is the Preston's Innovation, the green, very fine one, and again the normal black Stomfo to 1/7 buyer completes the kit. Nothing too complicated. And I go into the rigs for the far bank. First of all, the bloodworm rig. It's again 1/7 buyer main line through to 006 racing torch. Again, but very smaller dimensions now. All that this float takes is number 8 and number 10, again just above the hook length, and 3 tiny number 12s as droppers through to, again, the NUDD Series 1 26. The float, it's one of Jean Desque's, the French international. He makes them himself. Again, it's wire stem. It's not so much that I'll use them in the summer when the bites are more frequent, the fish are having a go. A bristle or cane stem will suit perfect. But in the winter, when it's very hard and the bites are very finicky, these are absolutely essential, the wire top. It's a 0.10 wire bristle. Again, the setup's exactly the same as I just showed you on the other end. So this time I've got the MIDI 1.9 elastic in, which is absolutely brilliant. Again, right, onto the caster rig. Probably the rig a lot more people are interested in. It wins that much more coin. A lot more beefed up. We go straight to the end of the pole, which is the business end on this rig. It's MIDI 3-pound elastic, very stiff. I've cut the pole back a little bit more than the other ones to give better elastication. So if you hook a carp, you want the elastic to come out, else your pole will break. Again, it's just a normal black Stomfo. Line is £2 main line to £1 bottom, and the shot is very simple. Just 4 number 10s spread out evenly down the line to an 18's whisker barb hook. The float is again one I've designed myself through MIDI. It's a little cane bottom, just a balsa, little side eye, just one bit of rubber on the bottom. Absolutely brilliant for the job, very visible. And really that completes my rigs. There's a few little more attachments that can go with poles, very cheap. This is a simple aerosol can top. All I've done is put a little clip on the bottom, fastens on the pole quite easily. You've got the perfect, it usually fits on, the perfect cup for putting in your bloodworm. Very cheap, very inexpensive, and it really does the biz. Okay.
I'll be using today 2 rigs, very light, one very light for the roach over, and one a bit heavier with an Olivet for gudgeon. This is my gudgeon rig. They're very, very simple. It's got a fly bar better float, 0.3 of a gram. on 12-ounce main line to 8-ounce water queen hook length. Hook length is about 8 inches long. Above hook length is an olivette, not held into place by shot, because I think that looks very, very untidy. What I do is cut the top off a float, the bristle, use the bristle for float, cut it down, just put it in there like that. Simplicity itself. No shots or nothing. Very, very simple. With one shot down the line, one number 12, to a 26's Series 1 Ignesti hook. Simplicity itself, that is. I'll connect it to the top of my pole. There's a piece of Dacron. And the loop-to-loop method, which I'll show you. Not many people use this method, but I think it's the best method because you don't very, very tangle free. The main line where there's no loop, make yourself a loop. Put the loop through the first loop, like that. To Dacron connector. Pull it tight to the knot. Simply. How to undo the knot? Just, you've got a loop there, pull it straight off like that. Nothing easier. The deadly part of bloodworm fishing, how to hook it properly. Bloodworm, you've got a black end and a red end. Just push the hook very carefully through the black end and it'll lie like that until a fish comes and gobbles it up. The rig I'll be using for roach is just a very light float, 4 9s, another flybar better. Very good floats. 3 or 4 bulk number 10s shots and 3 number 12s below it. Very, very simple again. Same connections at the top. This one will normally fish 1 to 2 inches off bottom, the roach, if they're there. If they're not, I'll more likely use this one over for them gudgeon, if gudgeon seem to show. That's it, very, very simple. That's for catching fish in the bottom half of the water. So the roach, they're not bottom feeders, they're what should I say, like gudgeon, not bottom feeders. They come off the bottom for the food and they will search around the bottom half of the water, so you can catch some 6 inches off bottom and catch some 1 inch off bottom. So all you do all day is keep shallowing up, deepening and shallowing up to keep a constant flow of fish going into your net, which wins matches. Dave uses near enough the same rigs, but he draws on a lot more fish than me. Very lucky angler. This is a peg he had £10 off last year, so I thought I'd go on it today and show how to catch a few fish. Just a black boat near a marina, nothing special, boats all up the length, just seem to hold a few fish. Catching, I've been fishing now for an hour and I've had 40 to 45 fish. Might have a pound and a half, which is a good start. Now I'll get fishing again. If I was going to a different venue which I hadn't fished before, the best thing about a peg is local knowledge. Get somebody who's been fishing the canal or river or wherever for a long time, ask them about where you've drawn, best baits, best way to fish, best lines to fish, amount you're going to catch, what sort of fish you're going to catch, ask them the best approach and then take it from there. The Bridgewater Canal, if you drew a peg on the Bridgewater Canal, you'd expect to catch perch, roach, no gudgeon, maybe odd skimmers, on bloodworm, joker, 5 metres, 11 to 13 metres, depending the time of the year. On the Shropshire Union Canal, completely different, catch 2 or 3 metres to hand on a whip, on bloodworm, squats, pinkies, and 13 and 14 metres in the summer and 9 or 10 metres in the winter. You fish 9 or 10 metres in the winter because the boat traffic's died off, the water's clear, the fish a bit finicky, leave the shallow water, too cold over there, get into the warmer water, because the deeper the water, the warmer the water gets as you go down. The only time we use a maggot or a maggot type like a pinky or a squat is normally in the summer, sometimes in the winter when you're on a lot of fish. Bloodworm is definitely the best bait in the winter, but in the summer, if you're using bloodworm, you can get bitted out, very small fish on the worm and joker. So it's an ideal situation in the summer when there's a lot of boats on. Fish are feeding very, very well. And you're on a lot of fish. It's to introduce squats or pinkies into your peg. You catch better stamper fish, more fish. You don't get bitted out with a very, very small fish. Therefore, at the end of the match, putting a better weight on the scales than what you would using bloodworm or pinkies. Maggots, rivers. Normally use maggots on the river, sometimes on canals, but mainly on rivers. The Trent, the Severn, the Avon,
Well,
anywhere like
I'm really
that.
struggling to hold my pole now in the wind. I've caught a few fish on the whip. The presentation on the whip's nigh impossible. The wind's blowing with a flow, it's absolutely horrendous. I've had a few 5 metre short line in out my whip line. And now I'm going across to try and catch a few fish, to try and catch Ian up. Because he's gone on the best peg again. And I'm here missing bites while I'm talking, so I'm not going to catch him up like that. But anyway, he's sitting on the peg. I had the 10-10 off in the embassy. Sorry, not the embassy, in the Silstar British Pole qualifier. It is an end peg on the end of a bay, and it's usually solid all year with fish. As we'll probably see a bit later on. I would say he's 20 fish in front of me at the mow, but I might be able to get him back. Here's one anyway. Very small roach. As I thought, little roach. I had to fish double joker to get bites, whereas I think Ian could fish a lobtail and get a bite on the peg. Anyway, I think he heard me then and he's giving me a bit of blackguarding back. It's really awkward trying to hook this double joker up this time of year. My hands are absolutely freezing and I'm breaking more up than I'm getting on the hook. But again, we mean. Really, if the fish are going to start to have a go, the amount of time the bait's been down there now should starting to catch steady. There we are, I'm in again. Another small roach. About 2 to the ounce. Been in a match, absolutely golden. As I'll say again, since I've been fishing with Ian, he has been used to having the end peg, as he did in the Embassy Pairs final. He very unselfishly drew peg 40 and decided to have it himself on the end of B section, which put him on the same peg Dennis White won it off the year before and put me on absolute crap. But there again, we still got second. I'm getting a few bites now as well. I might end up with a few pound of fish after all.
Well, now I've been fishing for about 2 hours, catching a few fish, getting a bite of chuck, enjoying it. Dave seems to be struggling a bit. Catching gudgeon and roach. I've only had one perch up to yet. On the roach, my biggest fish is about 4 ounce. I've dropped another off about 4 ounce trying to swing it. trying to be brave. As you see, getting a fisher chuck on the little red mint. A roach. That's what it's all about. Catching them. He's getting absolutely hammered. You can't get a bite. This is the sort of peg he draws in matches, and that's the sort of peg I draw. The one he's on. In the water. And out again. Today the wind's a bit of a pain. If I was fishing a match and I was seriously thinking I'd got a chance of winning it and the wind wasn't so bad, I'd set a whip up 6 metres to hand, which is a lot quicker than what we're doing now. But the presentation is nowhere near as good. I think it's going to rain in a minute.
Well, when I draw my peg in a match, the first thing I usually do, if it's on a canal I'm not familiar with, is go to the locals and get the usual gen of the peg. But there again, this can work against you, of course. You get the gen of the peg and they say it's crap. You go and fish it, and you don't fish it as hard as you should do. So what me and Nige do, my travelling partner, we travel all over the country, fish venues far south as London and as far north as Manchester. So what we usually do when we have these long trips away is just go to our pegs, go in the draw bag, draw your peg, and go straight to it without asking nobody. And doing this, you fish your peg hard, irrelevant if it's a bad one or a good one. And this has worked quite well for me on the Oxford Canal, which runs through Oxford. I've drew, luckily enough, I drew peg 1 the other week, and the organiser said it's never produced a weight before. And I've gone on it and fished it nice and tidy, there's no feature. Kept my feed in tight, just loose fed a bit of worm and joker, and I've caught steady all match, little fish. And the last day I've had 3 bream, which helped me. Also I won to bet Ian, which I put him into 2nd place, and generally I caught all match. But on the owl, when you get to your peg, the thing you've got to look for is far bank feature. This can be a bush or a bout or a weed bed. Now bouts can be a bit iffy. There's sometimes not very many fish on them. I drew one at Rudsley the other week, and I have not had a bite off the bout. I've caught all my fish a yard away from it. So these are not too good. Generally the best things I look for is a weed bed. If you've got one of these weed bed, i.e. it can be whips or segs or this flat green weed, which I find the best for roach, you usually get quite a few fish. This is the main thing to look for. It's bankside feature. I mean, a lot of canal anglers I've seen, especially in the winter, they get to the peg and they break everything down around them, which, if you look at your peg, I mean, when I get to my peg, I'll just sit down and I'll break just enough for me to fish. I mean, the clear canals in the winter, this little bit of inside cover could really help. So I don't break it down, but this is what you've got to look for. It's your far bank feature, your near side feature. Generally speaking, if I've got a peg that's got, say, a weed bed and a bout, I will feed both of these and make 2 swims out both my features. Whereas a lot of people sort of put all the stuff in on one feature, and that's it. But also I'll feed it down the far shelf a bit as well. I can have as many, on Division 1 National for instance, I had 6 swims going. And I wasn't on a very good peg, yet off all these I caught fish. And generally just swapping and changing from swims, which can be, I had 2 swims on the near side going, 1 right in front of me, and 1 down to my left. And I probably had, swapping and changing off these, not hammering the swims, I probably had 30 fish, and I was the only one who caught any amount of fish on the inside, on the National, which is mainly due to the heavy towpath walkers, which you're going to get on a National. There's nothing you can do about it. And I did get my hair off with a few, but that's natural if you know me. But anyway, I had those I had the 30 fish off those. I had a swim in the middle of the canal. I mean, you can think, if you think like this, my peg was only 6 metres wide, and I had a swim straight down the middle of the canal. I probably had 6 or 7 fish off this. And across, I'd got a little bit of a bush on my left, and I got some tiny little roots in front of me, and I got another tiny little root bed just to my right, and I fed all these. And I did take time out in the match to make sure I was feeding all the swims, so no swim was being rested of feed going in. There was always something there to keep the fish interested. And this is what a lot of anglers don't do. They get to the peg and they're completely blindfolded. When they get there, they're just going to fish 3 metres to hand in front of them, and across, and that is all they'll do all match, and they miss out on so many fish. And I've won that many matches by just swapping and changing off one swim to the other. As soon as I swap swims, I'll drop a little bit of bait in on the swim I'm leaving. I'll swap to the swim in front of me. I'll have a couple of fish. I'll leave it. I'll put a tiny little bit of feed in, and I'll swap to the swim to my left, and I'll have a few fish. Then I'll leave that, and I'll put a tiny little bit in. Then I'll come back on my inside swims, have a few fish off them, and vice versa. Put a little bit in and go across again. And doing this, you keep your swims going all match. You don't kill a line. So if you fish it right and feed it right, you should keep fish coming all match. Well, I think the qualities that make a good matchman is that his practice makes perfect, and this is the thing I've always preached since I started match fishing. Canals serious about 10 years ago with Pete Hargreaves. We used to go fishing on a morning, and we used to go fishing in the afternoon, and then we used to fish a night match on the night. And this practice, keeping in touch with the venues you're fishing, you don't necessarily have to fish the exact match length, but if you're fishing on a canal, it doesn't matter where it is, a canal's a canal, and you still keep in touch with the venue. Boat traffic, what species are feeding, different temperatures, different things like that. And that's how I've based my approach on being a successful match angler, is practice. And also it's in living with the sport. With me being a single chap, I've got time, I'm unemployed at the moment, which makes it even better. I can get out more. But it's time, and you've got to put a lot of time and effort in with your tackle. It's now got a lot of people say my box is a mess, but I know where everything is, and I've got everything I need when I go to the towpath. My rigs are right, my elastics right in my poles, and generally you've just got to make sure everything is spot on the day. And as I said, with all the practice you do, you know exactly how the fish are going to respond to the feed, so you can tell how much feed you've got to put in, and different things like that. It's just time and practice.
Well, how did you enjoy that, Dave?
Absolutely terrible. I don't think if we'd have waited all year we could have picked a worse day.
The weather, it's terrible, isn't it?
It blew and hooling all day, and we've really struggled to hold 9 metres of pole.
We've caught some fish though.
Yeah, the last half hour I've had them on the 3 metre whip quite quickly, surprisingly actually. But it all comes down now to the nitty gritty of who's got the most.
And I'm not saying who it is, but I've won the money.
Ian thinks he's won the money, but I've got a nice little dark horse feeling that I've come good that last half hour on the whip, and it's a bit closer than he thinks.
Oh, I wish he'd got that much in the Embassy Pairs first day, what he's got in his net now. We might have won it.
Well, that's how it goes. So, shall we have a look what we got?
Yeah, let's have a look.
I'll get mine out first.
Do you want a lift?
No, I don't need a lift actually. I've quite managed these.
Bet you love fish. Bet you love these pegs, don't you? These boat pegs. See. Well, you've done really well there. You got about £1.5.
I'd say there's probably odd noise stamp router too.
Yeah, emphasis on the odd.
I'd say there's probably
212.
212 to £3. Pushing that. New stamp fish.
Go and get
Anyway,
mine.
let's have a look.
Go and get mine, miss.
I'll let you get yours.
Good day's fishing, plenty of fish. Some nice stamp roach and some big pongo gudgeon. That's what it's all about, getting bites and enjoying it. We're not far off. I think I've got about 213 if he's got 212.
Yes, it was very close. I would say it needs a set of scales to separate us, and I'm afraid...
And Dave's just accidentally, on purpose, forgot them.
Well, that's how it goes in the winter. I think in a 5-hour match, if we sat here,
You do £5.
the same peg, we'd catch £5 or £6 in the right conditions. But today, to catch this amount, I think it's a very good performance, really.
There's a lot of fish, there's 120, 130 fish a piece, at least. Which, in 5 hours, you're getting bites all the time, keeping your hands warm, and you'd have an enjoyable match, even if you don't win any money. definitely had enough. It's freezing, I'm soaking, and I'm going home. What do you reckon, Dave?
The pub's just down the road. I think that's the best bet.
We're going to have a gallon or what? Come on then, let's get Well, Dave, did you enjoy them pints I bought you?
You bought me?
You know I did.
No, you bought more than I think I bought 2 to your one.
Well,
the same amount of fish I caught to you.
Oh, yeah, alright. Did you enjoy them today?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Wind was a bit nasty like, but the fish responded at the death. Caught quite a few on the whip. At the end, my favourite fish, a few nice gudgeon when I overtook Ian in the last 15 minutes.
How come you caught them on the whip? How come you get a bite on the whip?
Well, I kept feeding it whereas you slowed up. It is essential in the winter to keep the feed going in, not overfeed your swim, keep swapping around.
Why didn't you catch anything on the whip?
Eventually, should come right in. Eventually the fish will come, as they did on the whip, and that's when I overtook you.
You know I beat you, now don't be silly. Now, how come I caught a lot more fish than you on long pole?
Because I give you the end peg, and it is the last peg out the basin, and it's the peg I had £10.10 off for a match record.
In the summer?
In the autumn, on the Silver Star, I was at Moulton Pole qualifier, so hence he did catch more than me across. In fact, he had 30 fish before I had a bite, so that's why he caught more than me.
So, how did you get on in the pole final?
The pole final, the one I got through to, I come second, and I got bet by a Malmar angler, so which really hurts me to say.
So have you never won the pole final?
No, I've come second.
Oh. Well, that's a beautiful trophy there when I won it, Dave. So you're still not catched up with me.
Yeah, it's got the hump written on it somewhere on our pair point. That's about as well as you draw, that is.
No, it was alright today. We caught plenty of fish. A lot of fish on Joker because it's very, very hard. The water was gin clear, very, very cold for the last week. And now we caught more or as many fish as what we expected to catch.
It was essential though too, be very careful with the feed. It is a good tip in the winter. You do get a pint of bloodworm and a pack of hook bait. You don't keep putting it in like a lot of anglers do. It is essential to feed once, I have found lately. All my matches. It was on the Coventry Canal in the Winter League Sunday. A few of our team members kept dribbling it in and slowly killed the swims, whereas I just potted about half a pint of joker in at the off. I never fed again on it and kept the fish coming all match.
I thought people call you 3-pint berries.
Well, I take 3 pints, but it's very rarely I put 3 pints in.
No, that's not what I've been told.
I'll take it just to scare the anglers, not the fish.
Well, since the first frost, I haven't drawn very well, Dave. On even the Winter Leagues, we're doing all right. I think we've won the Winter League now over Highfield, our main rivals. But individually, me draw, I'm not catching many fish. How are you getting on?
Well, since the first frost, I've really got the draw on back. Last 4 matches, I've had 3 firsts and a second, so you can't really grumble at that. In our Winter League, very tight, 1 point in front of Isaac's. The canals are not fishing well. So it's anybody's league, really. I mean, it's a very strong league, ours. You've got 3 on the river, 3 on the canal. It's a bit different to your league, where you've got 6 on your local waters, isn't it?
Well, there's 4 on our local waters and 2 on Highfield's local water. We're enjoying it, there's plenty of fish, but I don't think this winter's fishing as well as previous years, do you? No,
it's definitely not. A lot of the matches aren't to start on double joker, and usually prior this Winter League matches, usually catch the first half a match on single bloodworm, but this year I'm having to find 6 ounce bottoms of the norm, 28s, single joker, just to get a fish in your net.
Well, take for example, on Sunday I was fishing the Winter League. I drew a peg where ex-British bowl champion Andrew Billett, who beat you when you come second, he drew the week before. He drew it the week before, he had 6 ounce. I drew it, I had £2.11 of roach, and either side of me, one's had 11 ounce, and the other side's had 3 little fish. It's just very, very peggy at the moment.
Same in our Winter League, there was 7 sections on the Coventry Canal, 6 on the Trent Mersey Canal at Fradley. I drew C11 on the Coventry Canal, which put me opposite the famous Willers, if they were still there. British Waterways Board wrenched them out a few years ago. And on the last open there, the one I won was 612, 9 ounce, won that section.
I thought they might have left a Willer for you though.
No, they're not that considerate, I'm afraid. I drew on the peg that about 3 fish come off in the open. A bit despondent when I sat there. Just fed a load in at the off and never fed nothing else again. And I had all fish on joker all day, 110 roach.
If you catch a fish on worm now, you're very, very lucky, or you're on a lot of fish.
The art of the canal fishing, as far as I can see it in the winter at the moment, is keep your hand out your feed. A lot of times I've been fishing, a lot of anglers come to me and said they've caught a few fish. As soon as they've fed again, kill the swim dead. So tactic I've employed is putting a lot in at the off and not feeding again. What do you think?
Yeah, that's dead right, especially on places like the Bridgie and the Coventry Canal.
Yeah, very clear canals, it's essential not to feed again really.
On the Shroppy, places like Southall, it's a bit different. It's not as clear. A few more boats and you have to feed now and again when the fish die off.
Yeah, I think that's the only time really on the canals, the way I fished this year, you can feed is when a boat comes through. Sunday there was one boat come through and it went straight over my line where I put my stuff on 9.5 metres. And I still never fed again, I just waited for it to settle. Whereas the anglers either side of me, who had been catching a few fish, fed again immediately and they never caught another fish. Well, the last 20 minutes I had another 40 roach, which got me second in the match, another 150 quid, and more importantly, another 3 Camasan points to got me to 21. So I've qualified for the final. With a bit of luck I might win the Matchman of the Year again this year.
Yeah,
something that Ian's never done.
A bit of luck, a lot of luck.
You do need a lot of luck actually to win that. It's the same as most big competitions. Need a bit of luck.
As long as you keep winning your sections, that's the main thing, because one day you'll draw the right section and you'll win the match.
That's right.
The best bream angler in the country. What's it all about? Catching them. Dave's struggling. I'm laughing my head off at him now. I'm laughing his head off. Now you are getting battered. You must draw well in these matches.
Only an hybrid. I think what a bream, proper bream. Look at that. What a beauty. That is a big eye. Is it an hybrid? It's in a roach, is it? What's that? Pound and a half, isn't it? There are you now. The light's been too bad, has it?
Well, we've come today to Hole, Nantwich, on the Shropshire Union Canal. It's about a mile from my house, so it doesn't take long to get here. We've come to fish caster today, but we brought some bloodworm just in case we weren't catching. The wind's not too bad, but I've got a back shot on just to hold it in place because we float in place. The wind's blowing against the flow, and therefore if I hadn't got a back shot on, I'd be struggling to control my float. The main thing about caster fishing is presentation. I've been fishing for 2 hours now.
Lovely roach bed.
I had one bream, 2.5 pound,
Gotta be
a
a
roach
pound.
over a pound, and another roach about 10 ounce. Just started to get a few bites. I've lost one fish 15 minutes ago, and since then it's gone a bit dead. I expect it to come back, and last hour I expect to catch quite a lot of fish. I started off by just fishing caster, and I was struggling. I was just getting odd bites. So I've put half a pint to 3/4 of a pint of joker in and 1/4 of a pint of bloodworm on the bottom with a few casters in my cup. And since I've done that, I've started to get a few more bites. The bream moved onto it, but they've moved off it now since I lost the fish 15 minutes ago. The weather's our usual British weather, not very good. Well, I've got a fish on now, a little roach. That is small, we haven't come to catch them. The caster's bigger than the roach. I'm on a 22s, just in case. I have to switch to bloodworm, it'll save me changing mute. Keep flirting half a dozen casters in every 5 minutes, just to keep introducing new food to me swim. I won't be putting any more bloodworm in, because them bream don't like it on the reds. They like it just to lay it down, come and mop it all up. 6 more casters, sit and wait for another bite.
Well, we made fishing on the Shropper Union Canal at Lowell at Nantwich. We fished for about 2 hours. Started off on the caster, just loose feeding the caster. Couldn't get a bite. So decided to put the bloodworm in. Put about 4 cupfuls, neat bloodworm and joker with a few casters sprinkled in, and 12.5 metres. And since then, we're fishing the bloodworm over the top of this and getting small fish. But since I've sat and persevered on the caster, I've picked up a good hybrid, £1.5 pounds, plus a good roach, £1, and a smaller roach, plus a couple of good gudgeon on the caster. So it seems like sitting and waiting on the caster, we're getting the quality fish. Whereas if I'm putting double bloodworm on, it's just getting ragged every chuck with small gudgeon. Smallest gudgeon in the canal. So it just seems like the day's going to be persevered with the caster, and hopefully we should catch quite a lot more quality fish. Wind's perfect today. The light's a bit bad with the sun in our eyes and reflection on the water. But I've just blacked the top of the float up and I can see it clearly now. So hopefully in the next half hour we should start to catch some bream. Ian's already had one, 2.5 pound, but he's sitting on the peg that his father fished the day before and bagged on. So the writing was on the wall, but look, I think I'll claw him back.
Hybrid, a massive hybrid. Hey? £1.12. Getting off for £2. Getting battered now, isn't he? Getting a bit upset he is.
Been fishing now for about 3 hours, must have £6. I just wonder if anyone's got a box of tissues for Bez. Crying his eyes out, he's got about £3. Really upset. I love it.
Well, I'm another hour into the session now, and Ian, again, still getting the odd fish on the flyer. He's used to fishing them though, so he draws them all weekend. But anyway, for me, I've just foul up 2 great big bream and lost them in consecutive chucks. So that ain't going to do me swim much good. He's just had a good hybrid. I've got another bite now. Just someone having a do with it. Left it alone, probably another gudgeon. But really now, its conditions are perfect. The tow's just picked up a little bit. But the fish should be really having a do now. There's enough bait down there. I just missed a bite. But I know Ian's probably just been giving me a bit of banter. But I don't need to do that really over the mic. I do it every weekend fishing against him, so I'll keep that to a minimum really. I'll just let my fishing do the talking. Not like somebody I can mention fishing a peg away from me. I've got a funny feeling now the fish is starting to come up in the water, because the last two fish I've foul hooked on the drop. But I've tried fishing shallow and can't get a wrap. Again, I've tried it similar to how Ian's fishing it, way over depth, and I can't get a wrap doing that. I've had all my fish, well, what few fish I've had, just letting it trickle through, just slightly over depth. I'm sure there's bream there, but how long it's going to take for them to really get their heads in, I don't know. I'd say we've probably got another 3 parts of an hour, a decent light. Keep getting little offers all the time. Might be the odd little line bite bumping around, or the odd little gudgeon or small roach having a little nibble.
Well, the secrets of a good matchman, or any good match angler, is hard work, dedication, and the ability to learn fast. Some people go fishing for 15, 20 years, and they stick the same methods. Every now and again, they'll win matches, but you've got to go with the times. 4 years ago, we were catching lots and lots of fish on squat. It's changed now, it's all single joker, double joker fishing, which a lot of people don't even take into consideration, who can a joker, because a lot of them can't see them, they're that small. It's all about hard work, dedication, and again, the ability to learn. Well, the best advice I could give to any young angler is to get in with the right group, the right sort of anglers that know what they're doing, not with pleasure anglers. If they want to take match fishing seriously, they've got to get with any matchman, anyone that can teach them the right way. Go in different venues, watching. For the first 3 or 4 years, from when I was 11 to 15, all I did was watch.
Well, Dave, what do you think about it then up our end?
Well, that's not bad. I've got battered again as usual by him, but he has sat on the peg that was a big weight come off yesterday. Yeah, again, I have lost 2 big fish, which I think both was foul hooked. It's a very interesting piece of canal, and I really think it ought to be match fish more. So I don't think there's hardly any bite put in it a lot of the time, because none of the pegs are worn. It's a bit different down to our end. Tixel wides, very similar to this, gets match fished heavy. You go up there, absolutely bag up, bloodworm, caster. Any bite you want to take?
There's a lot of fish in it. When I was in school, I come up here a lot. I used to catch loads and loads of fish. Just not match fish like you say. It's a shame really. Beautiful canal like this, not fished.
Yeah, perfect conditions. The light's fading there a bit bad, that's why I've had a wrap up, even with a black top float on. Difficulty seeing it, but there is some real big fish topping now, and I do think they're quality roach. I think if we'd have sat here for probably 5 hours and fished for a full 5 hours, the fish would have definitely come onto the caster over the bloodworm. But even now, I don't think it's essential to come up here with bloodworm. If you'd have come up here, nice mild day.
You're caught on the waggler today. If you'd fished the rod and line on waggler, you'd have more like caught more than what we have caught, but we haven't come to do that. We've come to catch a few fish on the pole, caster over bloodworm, and vice versa. We're going to look at the fish then, or what?
Yeah, I'll see how much I've been battered by.
I like it, I love it.
I have caught more small fish than Ian, but
I haven't come to catch small fish, Dave. Oh, well done. Beautiful fish though, aren't they?
I've got one absolutely clonking hybrid. I would say that's
2 ounce.
Good. Not 2 ounce now. A good £1.5, £1.10. Absolutely beautiful fish. In fact, it's the biggest hybrid I've ever caught. I should definitely come up here to sample some more of these. I've also caught with wavy fish one absolute clonking roach. Scale perfect.
No, might not even been caught before that.
Never been caught before. I'd say that's 10, 12 ounce roach. Got that back. And also an assortment of smaller fish.
Good job you caught them 2, innit?
But actually, I've caught one of these. Now this is my favourite fish. I've even done an article on a newspaper about just catching these fish. And this time of year they are Matchwinners, Tommy Rough. Especially down our end,
Not up here though, mate.
Not up here. Well, the canals are dominated by them. And I had a large catch of these the weekend to win a match. Anyway, I'll drop mine back. These few small fish. And I'll let my partner get his out now so we can all have a good laugh.
Oh wow. Oh, give us an hand.
He doesn't want an hand. Got a face like Ian's as well.
It's beautiful. Lovely that, isn't it? Put it back.
Yeah.
Oh, way up. Flying fish. I've had an hybrid as well. It's bigger than one day you've had.
No, I'd say that was possibly the same size. Twins.
He's got bad eyes then. So that's £1.12 to £1.14. Lovely fish. More like never been caught before either.
Well, just got back from Enel on Ian's doorstep. He's given me another battering today. He's walked to a peg where his dad fished the day before and had double figures off. And I was sat on a peg where his brother had next to nothing off. But anyway, he'll give you a rundown on how he's battering me again.
Well, we've had some fish, haven't we?
Yeah, I've had 3 nice fish. I had a good hybrid, 2 good roach and 30 bits.
We've lost some fish.
Foul up 2 big bream, lost them both. One cause 2 bank walkers were walking up the tow path at the same time as I hooked one. Couldn't get my pal back, hence pull the hook free. But that's winter fishing. Ian had a few nice fish.
I've had like 4. I've had a bream 2.5, and I've had 2. A roach going for £1, one about 8 ounce, £6 and all. I've fished it today. At the start, I didn't put nothing in at the start because my dad fished it the day before. Wet on the caster, struggled. Then I put 3/4 of a pint of joker in, and just 1 cup full of bloodworm, raw bloodworm, and a few casters. Used a rig completely different to Dave's. It's shown within the video. It's a caster rig with just 5 number 10s shot spread out, just like a shirt button. Fished to begin with 3 to 4 inches over depth, but I missed a few bites. Obviously striking too soon, so I went a foot to 18 inches on the bottom. Didn't miss any bites. Caught a few fish. Lost 1 big bream, which messed me swim up for 15 to 20 minutes. Put a bit more joker in, a few more casters, and they were back. I was getting bites. Small fish, and I've had 4 big fish. Enjoyable day. Battered him again. He's getting easy. I wish I could draw like him in matches.
Yeah, I wish he did.
Well, the reason we've done the video together, like we said at the start, is because we've just come back from Sweden fishing the embassy pairs. We thought 2 heads would be better than 1 on a video. We hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned a lot from it. And if you ever see me or Dave along the towpath fishing a match, pleasure fishing, by all means come and have a word with us. Tell you anything you want to know. No problem. I hope you catch a lot of fish on bloodworm. What do you reckon, Dave?
Well, yeah, I think it's been quite instructional to everybody who'll watch it, because Ian fishes slightly different to me. We might look as if we fish the same, but we don't. The tactics what I use down our end are different to what Ian uses up here, so I hope it's given you a good insight to general canal fishing on the owl. And if you see me or Ian out, as he just said, just come and have a natter to us. Any problems, we'll put you right. But hopefully you'll be able to iron all the creases out in your fishing off the video.
The best advice I could give to up-and-coming anglers, young matchmen, or people, don't matter how old they are, is to get in with people that know what they're doing. Not to get in with a club side, but to get in with like a match squad for people that'll learn, teach you everything they know. It's like in our squad now, we've got 10 or 12 young lads. They're all coming on. Some are 12, some are 13, some are 14. With us, they'll learn, and they'll learn the right way.
To all up-and-coming young match anglers, I'll give you the following advice. Is do the same as I did when I was a youngster. Get out with somebody who's a decent angler. Put a lot of time and practice in. A lot of the time you can learn more by going along a canal match or river match or lake match, according to what your tastes are. And just sit down nice and quietly behind somebody. Don't necessarily talk to them while they're fishing, but sit down, just sit there nice and quiet and just watch. And you can learn a lot more, and it can be a lot cheaper than going out with a pile of bait and not knowing what you're doing with it and completely wasting the day and catching nothing. It's a bad way to start. How I learnt, I used to go down on Rudsley Canal, sit behind Vic Carthy, who was one of the best bread punch anglers going, and I used to watch him win everything on the bread, and I used to sit there, never say a word to him, walk away when my dad used to come and pick me up, and that's how I learnt. And that is a lot better way than spending a whole lot of money buying a lot of stuff and bait and not knowing how to use it. And that is how I started, generally.